Hey guys, this is Miss Ripley speaking. I hope you guys all had a great weekend and are ready to start back up this week with your research projects. If you remember from last week, we started discussing social justice, what it means and what kind of topics relate to it. So remember, social justice is the idea that everyone deserves equal economic, political, and social rights. Issues in social justice often arise when the rights of one group of people is being infringed upon by another. You're going to be completing a research project that explores a social justice issue. And so the first part of today's lesson is going to help you get some more ideas of topics that you could possibly research. So the sub should have given you a graphic organizer, and we're going to start with the very front page. It looks like this. For this first activity, you're going to get introduced to some new social justice topics that you might not have thought about on Thursday. So first, we're going to go to the library page, and we are going to use one of the databases, okay? It looks like this. It's called the SIRS database, and what it does is it has pro-con arguments for a huge number of issues. You use the Northeast Middle School library page to get there, okay? And I'm going to put a link to that in the Google Classroom. But here's what it looks like, and as you can see, there's a bunch of topics on the side of the page, and they're all organized alphabetically, okay? And what I want you to do is find some topics that relate to social justice. When you think you found one, go ahead and click on it, and once you do, you'll see that it comes up as the issue right here at the top, and then it'll say yes, no, and it'll give some pro and con lists for each side, okay? So once you find a topic that relates to social justice, you're going to take a look at your graphic organizer, and you're going to summarize. Here it is again. You're going to summarize the pro and con for each side of the argument. Now, if you can see, I've separated them into 3 topics, and there's letters here. I told you that they're all organized alphabetically, and I really want you to look through and really get a lot of different topics. So the first topic has to be alphabetically A to G, okay? So if you pick something like homework or abortion, all of those go in the A to G, okay? And each section has a different letter. That's just because I want you to really scroll through and take a look at all of the different topics that are available, okay? So here's what you can do now. You can either pause this video and complete the activity or go on to today's notes. All right, so I'll wait just a second for you to make up your mind about what you're going to do. All right, is everybody ready to move on to the notes? All right, then let's go ahead and do that. All right, so today's notes are going to be at the top of your research paper, and they're all about creating research questions. So a research question is a clear, focused, and debatable question, okay? And the purpose of a research question is to keep your research on track. Okay, because when you're researching, you don't want to get off and start looking up a bunch of things, because usually these topics are really, really large, okay? So the answer to your research question is going to turn into your thesis statement. Some of you guys will have heard that before, but the thesis statement is the main argument of your research paper, okay? And what you need to know about research questions is they're not all created equal, okay? There's kind of 3 levels of questions, okay? Level 1 questions, if you're thinking about level 1 questions, they're all about gathering information, okay? So that's building background knowledge. Level 2 questions are all about processing information, okay? So that's about applying what you know and using that to draw some conclusions. And level 3 questions are about evaluating information. And that's where you really draw your conclusion. Those are the highest level of questions, okay? You can find sentence starters that show you the different types of each level of questions on Google Classroom. I'm going to attach a PDF that kind of explains But let's take a look at how you actually create these different types of questions, okay? So you guys will all have a graphic organizer that looks like this. And as you can see, you're going to create at least 3 questions for each level, okay? So let's say that I was researching the topic of homework, okay? That was one of the topics that I looked up on that SIRS database. All right, so I've got homework. Now, you guys are not going to be able to do homework because I told you nothing relating to education. This is just an example, okay? So level 1, when I'm thinking about gathering that information, okay, I want to use some sentence starters that are all about getting background information. So an example of a level 1 question for this topic would be, what is homework? Okay, maybe I'm going to look up and try to define it. What exactly constitutes as homework? Maybe I want to look up, when did teachers start giving it? Okay, so when did the practice really become kind of commonplace? And then maybe the third question is, what's the purpose, right? What are the goals? So all of these questions are level 1. They're the most basic type of questions, and they help me get background information, okay? Let's go ahead and take a look at some level 2 questions. Level 2 questions are about applying what you know, okay? So now that we have some background about homework, maybe I want to find out why might homework be a bad idea, okay? So that might get me some ideas about sort of the cons. Maybe also I would have something like, what would happen if homework policies changed? Okay, so maybe I can find some research about that, like what might actually happen, you know, how might students be affected? So those are some examples of level 2 questions. And then finally, level 3 questions, those are the highest level, those are about evaluating. So maybe I might evaluate the ethics of homework. So is homework ethical? Okay. This is where I might start thinking about social inequality. How might homework cause inequity? Okay, and then maybe this is where I also think about my solutions too. How could homework policies be changed? Okay, so those are the 3 levels of questions. As you can see, they kind of build upon each other. So you start with level 1, you move on to level 2, and then you finally end with level 3, okay? So on your graphic organizer, I want you to come up with at least 3 questions for each level. You can do more if you like, but the minimum is 3. Take your time and really think about what kind of questions you want to have. Now, I've got some sentence starters that I'm also going to put on Google Classroom, and they look like this. Okay, so this is going to be attached with a PDF, and it gives you a pretty good rundown of level 1, level 2, and level 3 ideas for questions. You've got sentence starters there, and you can use those to come up with your questions. So for today, here's your assignment. You're coming up with 3 research questions ideas for each level if you can. Take your time. Remember, I said developing a good question is an important part of research. And when you're done, I've got a good video on Google Classroom that you can watch about research questions. And then you can just go ahead and read your independent book. So have an awesome Tuesday, and I will see you guys tomorrow.